Retail workers deserve hazard pay. I have gathered the absolute worst stories from the front lines of fashion. From folks trying to return underwear they wore for a decade to customers convinced the mannequins are flirting with them. This isn't just bad behavior. It is a total detachment from reality. Here are 55 dumbest complaints about clothing stores that prove the customer is definitely not always right. 1. A woman stormed into a high-end boutique demanding a full refund for a dress she had bought 3 weeks prior. Her reasoning wasn't a rip in the fabric or a broken zipper. No, she claimed the store's dressing room mirrors were rigged with slimming technology to trick her into thinking she looked thinner than she actually was. She argued that when she put the dress on at home, the magic wore off. And this constituted false advertising. Apparently, lighting and angles are just government psyops now. 2. Retail workers have seen it all, but nothing prepares you for the worn return specialist. One customer tried to return a pair of white jeans, claiming they were defective because they had a large, distinctive brown stain on the seat. When the manager pointed out that this was clearly a biological accident that happened post-purchase, the customer doubled down. She insisted that the jeans were pre-stained as part of the fashion design, and she just didn't like the aesthetic anymore. The level of confidence required to look another human in the eye and say that is truly staggering. 3. Then there is the mother who waged war against a plastic statue. She filed a formal written complaint against a department store because the mannequins in the window were too seductive and were corrupting her teenage son. She specifically noted that the mannequin was wearing a tank top that showed too much plastic shoulder. She demanded the store either dress the mannequins in turtlenecks or remove them entirely to protect the youth of America. I'm not sure what kind of sheltered life you have to lead to be threatened by a headless fiberglass torso, but here we are. 4. Vanity sizing is confusing, but some people take the denial to a whole new level. A man tried to squeeze himself into a size medium shirt that was clearly designed for someone half his mass. When the buttons inevitably popped off like projectiles in the fitting room, he didn't apologize. He marched to the counter and screamed that the store had shrunk the shirt with their mind to embarrass him. He genuinely believed the employees were telepathically manipulating the cotton fibers. Have you ever blamed an inanimate object for your own refusal to accept reality? Or are you normal? 5. A customer called the corporate office of a major retail chain to report a severe health hazard. The hazard in question? The store played pop music. She wasn't complaining about the volume, which is a valid gripe. She was complaining that the lyrics of a Taylor Swift song gave her a migraine and violated her right to a silent shopping experience. She demanded the store switch to classical Gregorian chants immediately, or she would sue for emotional distress. Imagine walking into a Forever 21 and hearing monks chanting in Latin while you look for crop tops. 6. Security tags are annoying, but usually we just go back to the store to get them removed. Not this guy. He bought a jacket, got home, realized the clerk forgot the tag, and decided to perform surgery with a pair of rusty pliers. Naturally, the ink pack exploded, ruining the jacket, his carpet, and his dog who was sleeping nearby. He returned to the store demanding a refund for the jacket and a carpet cleaning service, claiming the store booby-trapped him. Seriously, why do people think they can outsmart a device designed specifically to stop people like them? 7. One shopper was absolutely furious that an employee had the audacity to say hello to her. She wrote a scathing online review stating that the greeter at the door was aggressively friendly, and that being acknowledged upon entry was an invasion of her privacy. She claimed she was stalked by kindness, and that the employee's smile was sarcastic. It is a weird world when doing the bare minimum of your job description is interpreted as a personal attack. Some people just want to be miserable in peace, and customer service ruins that vibe. 8. You would think fitting room policies are straightforward, but apparently not. A couple tried to enter a single occupancy dressing room together. When the attendant told them it was against policy to have 2 people in one stall, they threw a fit about discrimination. They claimed they needed a second opinion in real time. and that shouting through the door wasn't good enough. They accused the store of being anti-love. Look, nobody wants to hear whatever weird noises you two are going to make in there while trying on skinny jeans. 9. The concept of expiration dates is apparently optional for some folks. A woman marched up to the register with a coupon that expired in 2008. We are talking about a piece of paper that survived 3 different presidencies. When the cashier explained that the barcode wouldn't even scan because the system didn't exist back then, the woman threw a tantrum. She argued that money doesn't expire, so coupons shouldn't either. I have to ask, do you have a drawer full of useless paper at home? Or do you actually throw things away like a sane person? 10. Let's talk about the change of heart return policy abuse. A bride brought back her wedding dress 2 days after the wedding. It was covered in grass stains, wine spills, and what looked like cake frosting. Her complaint wasn't that the dress was damaged. It was that the dress didn't work. When pressed for details, she admitted the dress was fine, but the groom had cheated on her at the reception, so the dress was now cursed and she wanted her money back. While I sympathize with the situation, retail stores aren't emotional insurance companies. 11. The myth of the magical backroom is the bane of every retail worker's existence. A customer demanded a specific pair of limited edition sneakers that were sold out everywhere. When told they were gone, he insisted the employee check the back. After a polite, empty-handed lap around the stockroom, the man accused the worker of hoarding the shoes. He genuinely believed the backroom housed an infinite manufacturing plant, and the staff was just too lazy to turn the machine on. 12. You meet all kinds of scholars in the checkout line. One man spent 20 minutes screaming at a teenage cashier because he had to pay sales tax on a belt. He wasn't disputing the math. He was arguing that taxation is theft, and the store was complicit in a government conspiracy. He demanded the manager remove the tax or he would perform a citizen's arrest on the spot. Because clearly, a part-time high schooler has the direct authority to rewrite federal fiscal policy. 13. Online shopping has destroyed people's grasp of time. A woman stormed in waving her phone, demanding a dress she saw on the store's Instagram. The problem was the photo was posted in 2014. When the manager explained that they don't sell decade-old inventory, she threatened to sue for false advertising and digital manipulation. She operated under the belief that if a picture exists on the internet, the physical item must remain in stock forever, like a museum exhibit you can buy. 14. Sometimes the item on the shelf just isn't good enough. A shopper refused to buy a sweater from a perfectly folded stack because she wanted the one the mannequin was wearing. She insisted the display version had better energy. The associate had to dismantle the entire window display and strip the fiberglass figure naked in front of street traffic. The kicker? Once she got it, the customer complained the sweater was stretched out and demanded a discount for the damage. 15. There is a special level of delusion reserved for the after-hours knocker. A woman arrived 15 minutes after closing, saw the lights dimmed, and called the police. She didn't report a crime. She reported that the store was holding her hostage outside. Her logic was that since she could see the clothes through the window, she had a civil right to access them, and the locked door was illegal. The police dispatcher was reportedly less than sympathetic to her late-night fashion emergency. 16. A vegan activist wandered into a high-end leather goods store and filed a formal complaint about the smell. She wasn't complaining about chemicals. She was angry that the leather shop smelled like leather. She demanded the manager spray air freshener every 5 minutes to mask the scent of sadness, or she would chain herself to the counter. It is fascinating how people walk into specialized environments and then get personally offended that the environment exists. 17. Jealousy is an ugly look, especially in the fitting room. A customer complained to corporate that a sales associate was too attractive. She claimed the employee's perfect makeup made her feel insecure while trying on sweatpants. She actually suggested the store enforce a dowdy dress code, so customers would feel like the prettiest people in the room. Imagine being so fragile that a stranger's eyeliner ruins your entire day. 18. Parents often treat stores like daycares, but this crossed a biological line. A mother was outraged when an employee stopped her toddler from using the fitting room corner as a toilet. The mom argued that since the store didn't provide a public restroom, the dressing stall was the designated backup. She screamed that they were anti-child for not wanting waste on the carpet. I have to ask, were these people raised by wolves, or do they just choose to ignore basic sanitation laws? 19. Security sensors are annoying, but usually, it is the machine that glitches, not the human. A man demanded a refund on a hat he hadn't even bought yet because the security tower beeped when he walked in. He claimed the electromagnetic waves scrambled his brain and erased his memory of what he came to buy. He wanted cash compensation for his lost thoughts. If a plastic gate can erase your memory, there probably wasn't much in there to begin with. 20. We have all forgotten things, but the ghost return is a bold strategy. A guy walked up to the counter with nothing but a receipt. He wanted to return a shirt but said he left it at home because he didn't want to carry it. He genuinely thought showing the receipt was enough to trigger a cash refund, and the store should just trust him to bring the shirt back later. Do you actually think the world runs on the honor system? Or are you just testing how far you can push reality? 21. We need to discuss the test drive theory of retail returns. A woman attempted to return a swimsuit that was damp, smelled of chlorine, and was visibly full of sand in the lining. When the cashier recoiled and pointed out the hygiene strip had been peeled off and restuck with gum, the customer remained defiant. She claimed she had to wear it into the ocean to see if it stayed buoyant, and that the store was discriminating against her for being a thorough shopper. 22. Lighting in dressing rooms is rarely flattering, but filing a lawsuit over it is a stretch. A man threatened legal action because the fluorescent overhead lights highlighted his thinning hair and made him look pallid. He argued that the store was intentionally causing him depression to lower his self-esteem, so he would buy more clothes to feel better. He demanded the store install soft, romantic mood lighting immediately, or pay for his therapy sessions. 23. Mistaken identity happens, but usually you realize your error before calling corporate. A customer filed a furious report about a rude employee who ignored her request for help and refused to make eye contact. The manager checked the security footage to discipline the staff member, only to discover the customer had been screaming at a realistic mannequin for 5 minutes. She was literally arguing with a fiberglass statue and then complained that its silence was aggressive. 24. Math is hard, but coupon logic is apparently harder. A shopper brought 2 coupons to the counter, each offering 50% off. She was absolutely convinced that 50 plus 50 equals 100%, meaning her entire cart should be free. When the cashier tried to explain how percentages actually work, the woman accused the store of changing the laws of mathematics to scam her. Seriously, did you sleep through every single math class in elementary school? Or are you just trying to hustle? 25. The dictator of the dress code is a rare breed of entitled. A wealthy shopper demanded that a sales associate be sent home because the employee was wearing the same blouse that the shopper was trying to buy. The customer claimed that seeing the shirt on the help devalued the garment and ruined her exclusive experience. She actually told the manager that staff should only be allowed to wear burlap sacks so they don't outshine the clientele. 26. Sometimes the complaint is just a confession of incompetence. A teenager called 911 from inside a fitting room claiming she was trapped and running out of oxygen. Firefighters arrived, prepared to break down the door, only to find the latch was perfectly functional. The girl was pushing the door instead of sliding the lock. She then tried to sue the store for false imprisonment because the lock mechanism was too intellectually challenging for the average consumer. 27. The concept of final sale is apparently open to interpretation if you yell loud enough. A guy bought a suit on clearance, wore it to a court date, lost the case, and then tried to return the suit. His reasoning was that the suit was bad luck. and therefore defective. He honestly believed that the clothing retailer was responsible for his legal defense failing and owed him a full refund plus damages for his impending jail time. Is it just me, or is taking accountability a lost art form? 28. Most people understand that stores have closing times, but not the closet hider. Staff found a woman crouching inside a circular rack of coats an hour after the store had locked up. When discovered, she didn't apologize. She filed a complaint that the employees were interrupting her process. She claimed she needed total silence and darkness to truly connect with the fabric, and that kicking her out was a violation of her spiritual shopping journey. 29. You have heard of price matching, but have you heard of fantasy matching? A customer demanded a high-end department store match the price of a designer bag she found on a sketchy website based in a country that doesn't exist anymore. The website was selling a $2,000 bag for $12. When the manager refused to match the obvious scam price, the woman accused them of price gouging and hating the poor. 30. The invisible damage scam is a classic, but this execution was pathetic. A man asked for a 90% discount on a pristine leather jacket. When asked where the damage was, he pointed to a microscopic natural grain in the leather and screamed that it was a defect. He argued that the cow must have been stressed before it became a jacket, and he could feel the animal's anxiety radiating through the material. He wanted the discount for taking on the burden of the cow's emotional trauma. 31. Brand loyalty is great, but brand confusion is a medical condition. A woman stood at the counter of a Gap, screaming that she wanted to return a shirt. The issue was that the tag clearly said Target. When the manager pointed this out, she didn't blink. She slammed her hand on the counter and announced that all clothes come from the same hole in the ground, and that the store was legally obligated to accept the return because of textile reciprocity laws. I am fairly certain she just invented an entire branch of legal theory to avoid driving across the street. 32. The Guess My Size trap is the most dangerous game in retail. A customer refused to tell the sales clerk her size or let him check the tag on the dress she was holding. She demanded he use his eyes to estimate her measurements as a test of his competence. When he guessed too high, she filed a complaint for body shaming. When he guessed too low, she complained he was mocking her reality. Seriously, why do people turn a simple transaction into a psychological minefield? 33. We need to talk about the influencer with double-digit followers. A young man tried to walk out with $500 worth of streetwear without paying. His defense was that he was going to tag the store in his Instagram story, which would effectively pay them back in clout currency. When security stopped him, he threatened to cancel the brand online. He had 45 followers, and 30 of them were bot accounts. Do these people genuinely believe they are celebrities, or is this just a new form of shoplifting? 34. Distressed denim is a fashion staple, but not everyone gets the memo. An older gentleman bought a pair of ripped jeans for his grandson, took them home, and spent 3 days sewing every single hole shut with thick, mismatched thread. He then returned them to the store, angry that he had to finish the manufacturing process himself. He demanded compensation for his labor as a tailor. The jeans looked like Frankenstein's monster, and he honestly thought he had improved the product. 35. Mistaking another customer for an employee is awkward, but doubling down is insane. A woman began screaming at a random teenager in a red shirt to fetch her a size 6. The teen politely explained she didn't work there. The woman didn't believe her. She marched to the front, dragged the manager over, and demanded the teenager be fired for insubordination and lying. Even after it was proven the girl was just a shopper, the woman insisted she be banned from the store for impersonating a lazy worker. 36. The junior section. Denial runs deep. A grown woman got stuck, literally stuck, in a dress designed for a 12-year-old. Firefighters had to be called to cut her out of the garment. Instead of being embarrassed, she was litigious. She threatened to sue the store for sizing fraud, claiming they had relabeled adult clothes as kids' clothes to shame the population. She refused to accept that the sparkly unicorn graphic might have been a hint that the dress wasn't intended for a 40-year-old accountant. 37. Paranoia hits different near the anti-theft gates. A man wrapped his entire head in aluminum foil before entering the store. He told the greeter that the security sensors at the door emit mind control waves designed to make him buy overpriced socks. He proceeded to shop for an hour, crinkling with every step, scaring away other customers. If you are that afraid of a magnetic sensor, maybe just order online. Or is the mailman also a government spy? 38. Price tags are non-negotiable unless you are the sticker switcher. A guy was caught peeling a 99-cent sticker off a pack of gum and sticking it onto a leather trench coat. When the cashier scanned it and the register said Orbit Peppermint, the guy acted shocked. He argued that the leather coat identified as gum and the store should respect its transition. He actually tried to debate the fluidity of object identity to save $300. 39. The biological hazard return is the worst part of the job. A woman tried to return a pair of running shoes that were worn down to the sole and covered in mud. Her reason for the return? She got a blister after running a marathon. She argued that the shoes were medically defective because they didn't protect her feet from the friction of 26 miles. She wanted a full refund and a voucher for a pedicure. This is like eating an entire steak and refusing to pay because you felt full afterward. 40. Finally, we have the shirt off your back demand. A customer saw a sales associate wearing a store-branded polo shirt that was part of the staff uniform. The customer decided he wanted that specific shirt. Not one from the stockroom, but the warm, sweaty one the employee was currently wearing. When the employee refused to strip in the middle of the sales floor, the customer filed a complaint about inventory hoarding. What kind of power trip are you on that you need the clothes literally off another human's body? 41. Mirrors are impartial observers, but not according to the funhouse conspiracy theorist. A woman measured the reflection of her waist in the dressing room mirror with a tape measure, then measured her actual waist. Because the reflection was technically smaller, due to perspective and distance, she accused the store of optical fraud. She claimed the mirrors were engineered by the patriarchy to create unrealistic body standards and demanded the store pay for her to get laser eye surgery to correct her vision after being lied to. 42. Expiration dates apply to milk, not fashion, but try telling that to the vintage voucher lady. She slammed a gift card on the counter that was issued in 1998 for a store chain that went bankrupt and was bought out twice since then. When the system rejected the magnetic strip, she claimed the store was erasing history. She argued that since she had held onto the card for 20 years, it had accrued interest like a savings bond and was now worth 5 times its original value. That is not how retail banking works. 43. The DIY discount artist is a menace to inventory. A customer was caught using a permanent marker to draw a black line through the barcode of a full-price dress. When she got to the register, she claimed the black line meant it was on clearance. When the cashier pointed out the ink was still wet and smelled like Sharpie, the woman argued that she was a freelance pricer hired by corporate to spot-check inventory, and they owed her a salary for ruining their merchandise. 44. Returns are usually for things you bought, not things you stole. A man walked in with a shopping bag full of clothes that still had the security ink tags attached. He didn't want a refund. He wanted the store to remove the tags because they were ruining the aesthetic of the stolen goods. He openly admitted he took them from another branch across town, but preferred the customer service at this location. The audacity to ask a store to help you enjoy the fruits of your crime against them is honestly breathtaking. 45. Some people treat the fitting room like a sensory deprivation tank. A customer spent 4 hours locked in a stall. When staff finally knocked to check if she was alive, she screamed that she was marinating in the outfit. She believed that clothes need to bond with your pheromones before you decide to buy them. She argued that rushing the process disrupts the fiber-to-skin connection. I'm pretty sure that's just loitering with a side of pseudoscience. 46. The colorblind complainant took things to a legal level. He bought a shirt labeled Midnight Blue. He returned it a week later claiming it was actually navy. He wasn't just annoyed, he was furious. He brought in paint swatches and a color wheel to prove his point to the manager. He threatened to sue for chromatic misrepresentation because the specific hue clashed with his aura. Imagine having so much free time that you start a crusade over a shade of blue. 47. Gravity is a law of physics, not a store policy. A woman tripped over her own untied shoelaces while browsing. She didn't blame her laces, she blamed the floor. She filed a formal incident report claiming the floor was too aggressive and rose up to meet her. She demanded the store install padded flooring throughout the entire building to prevent future gravity-related incidents. Because apparently, walking is a skill the store is responsible for teaching you. 48. The human mannequin request is pure nightmare fuel. A customer didn't like how a jacket looked on the hanger and didn't want to try it on herself. She demanded the sales associate put it on and model it by walking up and down the aisle. When the associate politely declined, the customer accused her of being lazy and refusing to perform her duties. She wanted a personalized fashion show in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon rush. You want a runway model? Go to Paris, not Marshall's. 49. Personal space is a foreign concept to the touchy-feely shopper. A man filed a complaint because an employee asked him to stop touching the employee's hair. The customer claimed he was just checking the texture to see if the store sold hair products, despite being in a menswear shop. He argued that the employee's hair was public domain since he was on the clock. That is not just a dumb complaint. That is a restraining order waiting to happen. 50. We have the bag ban. Rebel. In a state where plastic bags are banned by law, a customer demanded a plastic bag. When offered a paper one, he refused. He demanded the store go into the back, find a vintage plastic bag from the 90s, and give it to him. He claimed paper bags hurt his hands and were part of a liberal agenda to make carrying things difficult. He ended up carrying his socks out in his arms like a baby, muttering about the decline of civilization. 51. Care labels exist for a reason, but not for the laundry truther. A man returned a wool suit that had shrunk to the size of a doll's outfit. He admitted he washed it in boiling water to sanitize the fabric. When the manager pointed to the prominent dry clean only tag, the man scoffed. He claimed that care instructions are a conspiracy created by the big dry cleaning lobby to extort money from the working class. He demanded a refund for the suit and the cost of his detergent. 52. We have all looked for a bargain, but the reverse robbery is a new low. A shopper stacked so many coupons that her total mathematically went into the negatives. She fully expected the cashier to open the register and hand her $40 in cash. When told that store policy stops at zero and they don't pay people to take merchandise, she called the police. She reported a breach of contract and claimed the store was stealing her potential earnings. Imagine thinking a retail store is actually an ATM that dispenses clothes. 53. Getting lost in a huge department store is annoying, but it is rarely a legal matter. A man called emergency services from the menswear section claiming he was trapped in a designed labyrinth. He wasn't locked in, he just refused to look at the exit signs. He threatened to sue the architects for predatory layout, intended to keep him there until he starved or bought a tie. The firefighters who had to walk him 20 feet to the front doors looked absolutely done with his nonsense. 54. Superstition usually has no place in the returns line. A woman brought back a perfectly good prom dress because her psychic told her the dress had bad juju. She claimed the previous person who tried it on must have had a dark aura that contaminated the sequins. She didn't just want a refund, she wanted the store to pay for a spiritual cleansing ceremony for her car, where the dress had been sitting for an hour. I wonder if the receipt covers exorcisms. 55. We end with the literalist nightmare. During a store closing sale with signs saying everything must go, a customer tried to purchase the actual cash register, the shelving units, and the employee's stool. When the manager explained that they were selling the inventory, not the infrastructure, the woman went ballistic. She cited false advertising laws and tried to drag a heavy display table out the door while security chased her. She genuinely believed she had the legal right to dismantle the building piece by piece. That wraps up 55 of the most insane complaints clothing store employees have ever had to deal with. It really makes you wonder how some people manage to get dressed in the morning without filing a lawsuit against their own closet. Now, I have a simple question for you. What was the last piece of clothing you bought, and are you actually happy with it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this madness, hit that like button and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.